was outraged when this document landed on my desk a week ago. Tonight I'm actually feeling very buoyant. I didn't expect to come here to meet in the standing room only. And looking around the room, I know we've got a pretty serious cross-section of society. And that doesn't surprise me in the least, because if you look at the context in which this is happening, the majority of people in Northern Ireland are in support of a Bill of Rights for Northern Ireland, with civil, political, social, economic and cultural rights enshrined. Some of our politicians and political parties aren't. But let me tell you something ironic. In the 12 months we spent inside the Bill of Rights Forum, the round table that had all of the political parties and a cross-section representative of civil society, many of you are in the room tonight. Although the DUP and the Ulster Unionists and the Alliance Party at the end of it all voted against our Bill of Rights proposals, there was one issue on which everybody in the room agreed, ironically, the right to march. And I cannot understand why we are now where we are. The origins of this piece of draft legislation lie with the Lib Dem Tory, Paddy Ashdown, who headed up the commission that had been set up by the UK government to come in here and sort out the fact that we can't make our minds up on what the right rules are for marches. The trade union movement gave evidence to that body, and they did produce a report which hasn't been made widely public, but we know that that report did also come out with a set of proposals that infringe the rights of trade unionists and others to make public demonstration, to march and to protest. I thought it was done and dusted and out of the road, so I am surprised that it has come back directly through our own process, our own electoral process. It's the kind of thing that backfires very seriously, because the world has just changed again for the worse for all of us. We know that as a consequence of the people who are now in power across the water, and that's significant for us because, of course, they hold the purse strings. And not only do they hold the purse strings, but they're the people who attach conditions via the Treasury to how we will spend money, how we will spend our public money, and whether or not we will privatise and all of the other things that will be the very clear programme of action of the people who are now in government in Westminster. So it may well be there is an anticipation that there will be a general reaction from the people of Northern Ireland. It might be more cynical than that, and it might be we'll throw so much into this piece of draft legislation that is unpalatable that various sectors of society will protest about what's in it, and then it will strip it down to where we really want to get to, which is how do you handle contentious parades. I think we ought to be much more upfront and honest about that if that is the case. But I think that what's likely to happen here is there will be protest where we weren't thinking of having protest before. Maybe that's not a bad thing. In my view, it's not. We've got a very definite infringement of our fundamental human rights. Inside the trade union movement, we're already shackled with a range of infringements of our fundamental human rights, and the UK government has been consistently criticised by the UN Committee on Social, Economic and Cultural Rights for denying all of us the right to strike. The right to strike is one element of the infringements of our fundamental rights. We can't mount more than 6 people on a picket line if a bloody-minded employer so chooses. Happened to my union just over a decade ago. We were out to strike hospitals across Northern Ireland against a private contractor. Bad gig, no longer with us, everybody back in-house. That's good. But we were injuncted, we were brought to court, and we were ordered to reduce the picket lines to 6. The reaction to that was that at Lagan Valley Hospital, that was a Friday, at Lycan Valley Hospital on a Saturday morning, Ian Paisley Sr. turned up with 100 of his representatives and supporters to say, I don't think it's right that trade unions should be denied the right to have as many people on a picket line as they want. Now, those are the kind of quirky things that happen in this society, because no matter where people position themselves politically, there are some fundamental things we do actually believe in and share. This is a radical part of the world. This is a part of the world that will get off its backside and go out and protest, whether it's about the closure of your local A&E or your local school, or whether it is about, as it was last year for the trade union movement and others, an extraordinary range of issues. You've already heard some of them covered there. I mean, I had the honour of addressing a whole range of demonstrations in this city in 2009, starting in December, within days of the invasion of Gaza, more than 50 people turning up spontaneously in Belfast City Hall. And within a couple of weeks, over 5,000 trade unionists and others turning up exactly on the same issue to register their protest. Not too long after that, we were out on the streets in our thousands because 2 soldiers had been murdered in Antrim. And not long after that, out again because a community worker had been murdered in a sectarian murder in Coleraine. And yes, because racism was alive and well in our city and we had to come out in the streets and protest. And yes, because workers had been denied their rights and kicked out of Vistium. And then because public service workers came out in defence of our public services. And on not one single occasion would it have been appropriate for us to give 37 days notice, or appropriate for our opponents, and in every one of those instances there would have been opponents, to be able to use the legislation to put yet another stalling block on what it was we were intending to do. I go back to the last period of Thatcherism, where it was commonplace for the people I represent to walk out of their hospitals and block the Westlink, to walk out of their union meetings and block the Antrim Road in protest at decisions that were hitting us spontaneously. Our spontaneous response is because somebody else has tried to put a fast one on us and deny us a range of rights, or damage what would be good for the people in this society, but most particularly, it's nearly always been what would be good